Does anybody actually know what is going on at our club? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. Listen, I'm just going to bring it short and sweet for you, but I don't really understand what is going on at our club. For positives and negatives, there seems to be smoke screens. There seems to be smoke and mirrors happen around this club. Now, listen, at some points today, we've been hearing lots of stuff coming out of the club, but what you did have was the press conference where Billy McKinlay gave you an update on some of the injuries that took place between Jared Bowen and, of course, Lucas Paqueta, saying that they picked up knocks and will assess them after tomorrow's game. Obviously, they will not feature in the game tomorrow against Bristol City, but we'll assess them after that. So it got me thinking about that, and I started sending messages to Russ and to other guys in the West Ham Network, and I was like going, the eyes emoji, and I was like, they're a bit coy on the injuries, really, essentially. And jokingly, at the time, I went, Bowen and Paqueta could be back for the Bournemouth game, because sometimes when you dissect press conferences, you start to try and work out the gist of where the club are coming at with their messaging. And I feel like we've got a reasonable understanding of their messaging and what they want to try and achieve and what message they want to get across. So I don't know if they're trying to send a little bit of hope to the fans and or just tell it as it is. Now, a few hours later, we started to get some news breaking from, I believe, some of the media channels, very familiar media channels. And then, of course, Jacob Steinberg comes out this evening saying that the West Ham are expecting to have Jared Bowen fit for the Sheffield United game, which is kind of come out of the blue. But equally, though, if you dissect Billy McKinlay's press conference for the Bristol City game, then you would be led to believe that that could have some element of truth about it. What I find really interesting is that we have hit major panic stations as West Ham fans, but yet we've still to hear the extent of all these injuries. We've yet to hear the extent of Paqueta's injury. 1 minute we hear he's out for 4 weeks. The next minute it's 8 weeks. Then he tweets and basically states that someone else has added on an extra month when they shouldn't have done it. So who actually knows? But maybe there is that element of smoke and mirrors that's going to add that element of surprise. On top of that, you're potentially looking at Antonio coming back fit and being potentially fit for the Sheffield United game as well. And bang, there goes our injury crisis. I'm just absolutely baffled when it comes to West Ham. I'm absolutely baffled. But equally, though, if these players are fighting fit and raring to go and ready to rock and roll, then the panic will calm down inside of me, who is normally a half-glass full West Ham fan. I still believe we're going to be in the transfer market. I still believe we're looking at a couple of players coming in for the January window. We have a history of purchasing players in the January window, some successful, some really successful, some being pretty bog standard average. And I think we're going to see some exits in this window. But the one thing I can guarantee you is if we've got Jared Bowen and Lucas Paqueta back for West Ham and the impending potential for Mohamed Kudus, again, if they get beat in their game in the AFCON, we could see him arrive back at West Ham. But essentially, it would be massive to see the return of Paqueta and Jared Bowen. All I will say is, as long as West Ham don't rush this and have assessed the players properly and don't make the boo-boo and don't make the mistake of bringing them back too early, let's assess the situation properly. Let's really dig in deep and understand what is the problem and how we can then progress moving forward with these players and our injury concerns. Essentially, though, there is no guarantees, but media reports are saying that Jared Bowen could be back fit for the Sheffield United game. The Paqueta situation is we're still waiting to hear exactly the in-depth of what that injury is. However, by the time we do get to the Sheffield United game, it will have been 2 odd weeks since he last played a game, so we'll be halfway through his campaign. So hopefully it's not as bad. Like I said, we've still not heard the real extent of what his injury is yet, but that will be coming out in due course. But hopefully we could have our players fighting fit with a couple of new recruits by the end of the month. How exciting would that be for West Ham fans? Short and sweet one for you, a little injury update. The potential for Antonio coming back and Kudus could be coming home early from the AFCON. Then we not have a problem as we first thought. Let's see what happens. Let's get ahead for the Bristol City game. Come on, you